It's my honor to present His Holiness with the key to our city on behalf of the citizens of San Diego.
Our tradition. Thank you.
La bêton, c'est
Ça. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, the president of the university, and then also mayor. Oh, where? Oh, there, mayor, and then the able.
Miss Lauren Jobs.
Of course, mainly brothers and sisters. When I say brothers, sisters, I truly believe we are same human being. Now 7 billion human beings. Actually, I said the human brothers, sisters. Mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. Then furthermore, potential of good things or constructive things, same. And also the potential of destruction, also everybody have same. The emotion, because it's the emotional level, those sort of emotions or mind, which is the sense of community, or sense of belonging, that automatically bring or develop sense of responsibility and sense of concern of others' well-being. With that motivation, verbal action, physical action becoming constructive. Then, again, part of our mind, part of our emotion, fear, jealousy, anger, frustration. These ultimately brings destructive action, physical action, the verbal action, or harming other, or create problem other. So that's destructive. So everybody, in emotional level, the potential of both there. Just I mentioned while we are waiting there, or interview, or I mentioned from birth, we already equipped these things there. But between these two, destructive emotion and constructive emotion, the anger, fear is part of our emotion right from the beginning. However, the dominant the whole time, at the time where our life beginning, love, compassion. Because the child's survival entirely depend on others' sort of affection.
Care.
Now, others' care. Mainly mother. That's fact. Even animal. We can obviously see cats, dogs, or nothing, many birds, except some turtles. I think even, because alligators are there.
Alligators.
Alligators, you see, looks very terrible. But I notice the alligator lay down egg and then hatch up there. Then mother, some distance, watching, taking care. But the turtle, some turtle, is a lay down egg, then left. They, no botheration about their youngster. The poor, the helpless small turtle, they have to survive by their own effort. Quite pity. When I saw that, oh, very unfortunate. Oh. So we, they survived by mother's care, mainly mother's care. And then nourishment from mother's milk. We can see those small kids there, small kittens, or puppy dog. I noticed some sort of small, at the beginning, some not yet open their eye. Looks like blind. But you should try to find mother's kazati. What call that?
Nipples.
Nipple. Oh. See, they go like that. Then they found that small thing, nipple. Oh, then looks very happy. So that's a biological sort of factor. So everybody equipped the seed of affection or compassion already there. So therefore, and then also that is dominant. And also so for survival, for healthy survival, healthy growth, the affection is immense. Although fear, anger, part of their life, but the young child remain constant fear, constant anger, very bad. Their sort of physical growth. So dominant sort of force during that period, the positive emotion. Then that is the beginning of our life. The end of our life. Again, affection become, I think, very important role. Factor. At the time of death, the dying person now knows, maybe billionaire, money no longer use, no longer helpful. Fame no longer helpful. A strong body no longer sort of useful. Education also no longer. Now that moment, the most sort of important factor is surrounded by your friend.
Family.
Even doctors, nurses who really showing that dying person genuine human affection, closeness feeling. Then dying person and die peacefully. So at the beginning of our life, affection is so important role. At the time of dying, or even sort of during illness, the affection, very important role. My own experience, sometimes you see in hospital, the doctors naturally very sort of expert and with huge missions. If the doctor not showing human affection, treated you like mission, then sometimes you feel, oh, the doctor may carry some experiment on me. In fact, sometimes it happens, isn't it? The other hand, a doctor, nurses, really showing human feeling. Consider your life so precious. The other day, the Hawaiian native sort of culture, they say, your blood is my blood, your bone is my bone. So that kind of sort of feeling, the nurses or doctors who really showing that kind of spirit, your life is our life. Your health, your health is my health. That kind of, sort of attitude, you feel very happy. So, in human life, whole rest of life, among sort of different sort of say, minds or thoughts or emotion, the compassionate emotion is most important part of our life. We equip that because it helps us, because it's necessary for survival. Now, look, today's world. Yes, when I first came to Europe, 1973. 1973. In India and also in Tibet, we had some kind of sort of impression that Europe materially highly developed. And in fact, you see some Tibetan in 60s already, you see, was they settled in Switzerland, and there's some Tibetan express, oh, now this land truly the heaven.
Paradise.
Paradise. Paradise. So when I reached there, looks, expectation is, oh, something really very sort of a very happy place. Yes, the material facilities are wonderful. But then we getting some sort of friends, or we get more sort of acquaintance with Swiss people, and then at that time I visited a number of European countries, then eventually America and Canada, these countries. When we more acquaintance, then begin notice under beautiful surface, underneath some kind of worry, anxiety, too much stress, and as a result, problem of alcohol, problem of drugs. Person happy, calm, no need alcohol, no need, even alcohol, a little bit, okay. One my tutor, very kind tutor, one layperson, she received some sort of teaching from him. So he he told that person, now on you should not drink. Then the lay person, with great respect, I cannot stop completely. Then my tutor, very kind, okay, little. So anyway, drug problem now. We can't blame some other country like Mexico. You see, there are people who really hunger about drugs. So this problem to start. Why it happened? Some anxiety, some worry here. So this clearly shows material development alone will not bring genuine inner peace. Now, obviously, we have this body. At the body level, some certain level of comfort, pleasant or pleasure, satisfaction. Another kind, mental level, not depend on sensorial experiences, but simply on mental level. Another sort of experience, pains and pleasure, satisfaction, joyfulness, at mental level. All those joyfulness or satisfaction through sensorial sort of experiences is very temporary, very limited. And then, more important, no matter physical level, comfortable, complete satisfaction, but at the same time, a lot of worry, a lot of pains in mental level can happen. No. So, the physical comfort cannot subdue the mental level of pain. Other hand, mentally happy, calm, then physical pains, physical difficulties can subdue. So therefore, mental level of experience is more important than physical level of comfort. Clear? It is very, very important. Kasota should know two levels of experience. One mainly physical level, sensorial level, one mental level. Then between these two, mental level experience are more serious than the physical level. Now look, material facilities, material development bring only comfort for physical level. Good seeing, good sort of hearing, like music, good taste, food, like that. These only bring satisfaction on sensory level. So there are people who materially, everything there, but mentally, too much stress, too much worry, and loneliness. So these mental level pains solve only through mind itself. So I often, telling, and also mainly, as a result of discussion with many scientists and many sort of educationists also, many thinkers. Now, conclusion very clear. The modern education a modern way of life. And education itself, very much oriented about economy or material sort of development. So that's the real sort of the reason, I think, the beautiful society, materially highly developed, yet underneath some kind of sort of unrest, difficulties or problems. Then more important, on this global level, gap rich and poor, immense. I have few occasions visit Africa and also Latin America. And of course, in Asia also. The global level, there's huge gap. Rich and poor, northerners, industrialized nations. Recently, you see some problems, but generally, you see you have surplus. And same human being who share same planet, who have same right, many cases facing starvation. It is very sad. So this gap, rich and poor, not only sort of morally wrong, but practically also source of problem. Then many countries, almost now entire world, I usually call new disease, new cancer, that is corruption. In many parts of the world. And then bully each other. A lot of sort of injustice or discriminations. Even as one you mentioned, even you see religious faith also sometimes creates discrimination.
Division, no.
Discrimination, by the way.
No, not a division.
Divisions. And racial basis, culture basis. All these are additional sort of source of problem. These you cannot solve just through rule or law like that. Ultimately, we need sense of self-discipline. Self-discipline comes only through certain moral principle. So moral principle, some people have to view any moral principle, moral ethics must be based on religious faith. Then, if that is the case, then moral ethics become very narrow, cannot cover entire 7 billion human beings, because they are in reality there are quite a big number of non-believers. Even among believers, we can see they carry some sort of prayer. They have, when they are moved good, they have some kind of faith. But then when they face some difficulties, then no longer faith. So carry all sorts of methods. So that means even some of these sort of people who claim some sort of religious faith, but not real serious. So therefore, now we need another sort of way of approach, promoting sort of moral ethics, not based on religion, religious faith. That's not new in India. Now India, my second home now, last 53 years. India is my home. And beside all our sort of, philosophy or logics, all this is come from India. So I always describe our relations between Indian and Tibetan is like relation between teacher and student. 1,000 years, remember that. So in any way, in India, before Buddhism come, I think Jainism and Buddhism more or less same time. Before that, already it's a different spiritual sort of traditions already there. Different philosophical views also there. So one of the philosophical view is accept the day-to-day life, denying any value of spirituality. So that we call the ancient nihilism. So there's tradition. The remaining sort of, the philosophers criticize in that view, even condemn. But person who hold that view refer sage. So that means respect. So in India, almost 3,000 years, so there's a tradition, respect non-believers. So, therefore, in India, 3,000 years, the concept of secularism. So, modern India, their own constitution also based on secularism. Because the reality, India, multi-religious nation, last over 3,000 years, I think 4,000 years, multi-religious sort of nation.
Community.
Like that. So therefore, it is necessary some principles which are acceptable to everybody, including non-believer. So secularism becomes something very relevant. So now look, whole world, multi-religious sort of world, multi-culture, and also including non-believer. But this problem, if you see these, as I mentioned before, this problem faced only by religious people, then, of course, it is sufficient. We make effort to promote religious faith. Then this will solve. But this is problem of the universal, whole universal, entire humanity. So the countermeasure, the solution, that problem also should be universal way. So there's no other choice but accept India's 1,000-year-old tradition, secularism. When I say secularism, you see some people, you see the little reservation, they understand the secularism means disrespect religion or against religion. That's not the case. Like Mahatma Gandhi or some other those sort of, and also Dr. Ambedkar. These people are the lawyer who dropped the Indian Constitution. So these They are sort of personal level, they are very much religious sort of people. So if sort of secularism is actually against religion, then these people won't promote. Very clear. So therefore, at least according to Indian sort of understanding, secularism, not to all disrespect religion, but rather respect all religions and no preference, this religion or that religion. And also I mentioned earlier, respect non-believer. So I'm trying to, with agreement, with full support, many of my friends, as I mentioned earlier, scientists or thinkers and educationists. So my approach, now our approach, is without touching religion. If you have religious belief, it's very good. Only sort of, only thing is, they should be serious and sincere. Otherwise, it is enough. Then non-believer. So we should have one sort of effective way to approach about these values. That is as I mentioned earlier, you see, sense of concern of others' well-being. Potentially, everybody have that sort of seed from birth. Now the problem, I think we can see children, very young children, they don't care about sort of different races or different family background or the different religious faith. Simply they satisfy, you see, so long play together. They treat it like brothers, sisters. Then, getting sort of older way,
Grow up.
more education. Then, our mind becoming more sophisticated. Then, thinking what their social background. If I make a friendship, then how much I will get. So I usually teasing some Tibetan who are sort of go around different places with hopes of getting some money. How to
His
translate?
Holiness was saying that he used to tease these Tibetans who were traveling around to raise funds, saying, are you on a trip to milk the cow?
아니 디시가 어디지 그래. 디 트러스트 그래. So you see, we are now thinking some different level. Then that eventually basic values at a young age, very fresh. Now that eventually
Becomes dormant.
becomes dormant, and also sometimes overwhelmed by negative emotions, jealousy, extreme competition. Competition itself is good, but extreme competition, that brings harming others. That is very destructive. But simply competition with respect. You see, a very good friend, respect, fully trust. Meantime say, I also want to be top. That kind of competition is very positive. Without that, no progress. So this mental sort of thing, we have to make precise
Distinctions.
Precise sort of distinction. Like ego. Ego, there's two kinds. One ego, extreme self-centered sort of feeling. That brings kasota,
disregard.
Others' right, others' view. That's wrong. But another sort of strong sense of strong self, in order to build courage, in order to build determination, willpower, in order to serve other people, in order to develop infinite altruism, we need strong sense of self. Very necessary. That kind of sort of echo. It's very positive. Similarly, desire. One desire mixed with attachment. That is destructive, short-sighted, biased. Compassion without attachment, or desire without attachment, or love without attachment, that can develop infinite. That is unbiased. So actually, because compassion without border is referred that kind of compassion, not oriented others' attitude, but rather is thinking their well-being. So here, even your enemy, still human being, still have same right. So with that understanding, and still you see the part of the oneness of human being, humanity, so on that level, develop sense of concern of their well-being. Their negative action is different. We can sort of engage. Their wrong action, sometimes we have to counter sort of action. But towards the actor, towards the being itself, you see, we should keep our love, compassion, sense of concern of their well-being. So, in mind or emotions, you see, due to its sort of
Different factors.
or anger also. Anger, out of sense of concern of their well-being, that anger is positive. Anger out of ill feeling, that's a negative. So we have to sort of make
distinctions.
Precision, right?
Distinctions,
these things. So in any way, so we really need effort, serious effort to promote these deeper human values, not through preaching, but through reasons, but through sort of experiment. And here I usually use 3 points. Our common experience, as I mentioned earlier, we all come from our mother. And those people who received maximum affection from our mother, the whole life, the effect of that remains in deep our mind. So that person, much more happier than those people who at that age, lacking affection, or worst case, because of abuse. Then whole rest of life, no matter how successful life, in deep inside, some kind of sense of unsafe insecurity there. So often come anger, frustration, suspicion. So that's our common experience. Then use common sense. Nobody say, oh, this family very happy because the family always quarreling, always fighting. Nobody say that. This family, oh, very happy. Their friendship, their mutual trust, really marvelous. So, everybody used to say it that way. And when we judge, you see, these different families, where no matter whether rich or poor, the member of the family full of affection each other, mutual affection, mutual trust, then that family very happy. And one family may be very rich, very famous, but within the family, lack of mutual trust, suspicion, jealousy. That family never gets sort of the real happy life. Then most important is scientific finding. Mainly medical scientists now begin to realize calm mind is a very important factor for good health. So sometimes we have sort of slogan. Healthy mind, healthy body. So healthy body very much related with healthy mind. Healthy mind means not intelligence, not only that, but mental level calm. How to develop calm mind? Through anger? Through jealousy? No. Calm mind develop only through open warm-heartedness. Because it's jealousy, suspicion, fear, usually used to come from our human brothers, sisters. Of course, sometimes fear, earthquake. Dharamsala, where I live, you see, there are sort of records of sort of serious earthquake in an early part of the 20th century. So we also, these days also, you see, occasionally some tremor. So fear of that is reasonable. That's okay. That's not based on mental projection. So you see, some fear, yes, based on factor. Right?
A fact.
So that fear brings some precautions. It's good. Generally, you see, the fear, these negative emotions really brings some kind of turbulence in our mind. So I mean, except you see those nature sort of danger. Otherwise, you see, mainly come from human brothers, sisters. So once we keep here suspicion, distrust, then fears and frustrations, loneliness, these things happen. When you open your heart and consider other part of me, I'm not, because of that, not saying I'm some special. Nothing, I'm nothing. But you see, when I talk, people, I simply feel I'm talking to another my long-time sort of acquaintance. As I mentioned earlier, we are same human brothers, sisters, no differences. So that really reduces anxiety or a little sort of nervous. Of course, nervousness also part of my mind. When I was young. Oh, sorry. When I was young, particularly when I visited China, and also 56 came to India, the official formal meeting, sometimes I also become very nervous. How to act like that. Then more sort of the acquaintance way. Familiarities, talk with people, and also through my own daily training. Right, as soon as I wake up, I remember Buddha and his teaching, altruism, and then make up my mind, the whole day, my body, speech, mind, dedicate for well-being of others. Very helpful. This kind of thinking really brings calm mind. So therefore, more positive attitude really brings inner strength, self-confidence, that brings calm mind. So that's the mental system, like that. So that not necessarily, you see, use religious sort of reasons, simply or common sense, common experience, and scientific findings, we get some sort of conviction, awareness. Then everybody loves their own body, their own health, their own life. So once we know the one best sort of method to bring healthy body, healthy mind, then we develop some kind of interest. Once interest develop, effort come. Effort, not just as a one-time effort, but day by day, week by week, month by month, year by month, decade by decade. Then our mind can change. Very possible. So I think finally, I want to tell you our century-old concept, me and other. Then further further we and they. Now here, as soon as I develop me, other, some distance. Instead of that, you also part of we, part of me. Then no distance. So we should now create concept of big we. Entire 7 billion human beings are part of we. Then no ground to fight, no ground to violence, no ground to cheat, no ground to bully. Clear? So that, I think, really worthwhile. Think these things and then make effort. Effort should not sort of expect some sort of effort from above. Because of the effort must come from individual. You hear maybe over 10,000 people. Each of you have same potential, same opportunity. Let us create inner peace. Through that way, create peaceful family, peaceful community. Then through that way, peaceful world. Thank you. Now some questions. Yes, now questions.
The first question, Your Holiness, is from Joanna Drummond. She asks, I'm just one person. How can I make a difference?
Difference of?
Zamuli 날 유아 카리스탄 도르스.
Answer already said. Now here, I want one add. Sometimes I also feel and see the immense problems, and then you and limitation yourself, and then feel hopeless. No, then it's wrong. Change of the world with effort of human being. The effort by humanity means combination of individual. So we individual, ultimately, everything depends on individual. So think that line. Even you see one person, you see develop some kind of sort of positive sort of thinking or way of life and becoming more peaceful person, then at least it can multiply 10 people. 10 people, each 10, another 10, 100 people. Go that way. You see, that's the way to promote. When you see these great teachers like Jesus or Buddha or Mahavira, just one person. They carry certain sort of,
Teaching.
or certain teaching or certain sort of explanation according to their own experience. Then it multiplies like that. So don't feel hopelessness.
The next question is from Doctors Yehuda and Virginia Shabate, what is your view of forgiving a person or a country when the person or the country has acted in a violent, unethical, or criminal way? It is easy to forgive others when they recognize their mistakes,
Yes.
ask for forgiveness and change. But can we forgive those who are unrepentant, do not seek forgiveness, and still need to be held accountable?
Yeah. I think it makes sense. Distinction. Action, actor. Like ourselves make
Distinction.
confession. When we make confession, you see, we make distinction. My wrong action, which I done, now I feel regret. So through that way, that is make distinction. Actor, yourself, and your wrong action. So similarly, other make distinction. Their action, the actor. Now forgiveness means you don't keep negative feeling towards that actor. You must develop how bad that person is doing this kind of negative action. Ultimately, have to face negative consequences by themselves. So, out of sense of concern, not anger, that is genuine meaning of forgiveness. But as far as their action is concerned, analyze the reality or situation. If the countermeasure is necessary, then you should take countermeasure. Not out of hatred, not out of anger, but out of sense of concern of their well-being, and try to stop their wrongdoing. So that's the genuine meaning of forgiveness. I often say forgiveness does not mean forgetfulness. If you forget their wrongdoing, there's no basis for forgiveness. Clear? Next question.
From social media to television, technology seems to be a growing distraction from relationships with others, from making connections with others. What advice do you have now that the media but the television computer
I do not necessarily. I feel I sit in India, but through television or radio, mentally close every part of the world. But you mean? I think personal sort of
personal relation.
Personal relation.
What advice do you have for those who have a hard time disconnecting from technology so we can be better spouses, better parents, better neighbors, and better friends?
Who create compulsory, spend several hours to look television? Who asked you? For example, American citizen, American government, or the two houses, you see, pass a resolution, or every day you must spend 10 hours look television. Nobody said that. So your own mistake. Now, recently in India, I just used to casual talk some Indian visitors. Then I just casually mentioned, in early period, I also used to fun to look television. Mainly, they like stories or Discovery.
Discovery Channel.
Really, you see, I gain a lot of sort of education, watching, judging these animals. And then mainly it's just some stories like that. Then last is a few years, no open television. Information, just radio, BBC radio brought all fresh news. So I told you that Indian, last few years, I never sort of opened television. And he was very seriously, respond, then you must feel boring. Right. Bored. 주주 컨저스 얘기 왔어.
So then how do you spend your spare time?
Then my case, of course, reading, also including newspaper and some sort of philosophical text, and then mainly is it thinking. That brings tremendous sort of restful. Thinking. So you spend at least, you see, shorter time, perhaps morning, while you enjoy breakfast, open television, look. I think you should give jobs, mouth and ear and eyes. Okay. Then after finish your breakfast, then stop. Or lunchtime, or mainly I think dinner case, like that. You yourself make some kind of discipline. I must spend more time study or analytical, Buddhists call analytical meditation. Like that. And then I fully agree, human personal sort of relations, particularly a parent should spend more time with their children. Children must sort of, children, in order to build healthy generation, these now younger generation must provide maximum affection. Besides that, through education, introduce the affection is important. Then I think there is a real hope. New generation, more compassionate minded, that very possible. So this 21st century can be more positive century than the previous century. Previous century, I mean, of course, a lot of positive things also developed or found during the 20th century, but at the same time, overall, 20th century becomes century of bloodshed, century of violence. So this century should be century of peace. Peace means no longer any problem, not that way. Problem always there, but the only way, whenever we face problem, consider that problem within ourselves. So only through dialogue, isn't it? So any problem, sensible family, only problem start, then solve problem within the family through talk, through dialogue, through reconciliation or compromise. So think whole world as we, then any problem, through talk, through understanding, like that. So we can change. Very possible. I think this century, peace with full spirit of dialogue.
By the way, that question was from Lorena Nava Rugero. The next question is from Sieda Rashid. What do you believe to be the most important thing a person must try to achieve in life? What do you believe to be the most important thing a person must try to achieve in life?
I think for humanity, for general, that peaceful life brings maximum happiness. So that should be our goal. So individual level, those as the person who follow theistic religion, then they are, of course, aim in heaven. Oh, recently I met. I think no secret. I think I can tell you. One Cuban refugee, very religious-minded. We just casual talk and some sort of improvement in Cuba. So then he told me he always prayed to God bring Castro to heaven sooner. Although he resents the totalitarian dictator, but you see, very compassionate. Pray to God, please bring sooner to heaven. Very nice. So the individual level, then of course different. I am Buddhist. My aim, Buddhahood, but I'm realistic. I always see thinking realistic is much sort of safer. So my achievement of Buddhahood, not this life, not the next few lives, but after eons. Many Tibetan, you see, they very much excited, achieve Buddhahood within 3 years. Unrealistic.
This question is.
Sound.
This question is from David Penna. What is the best way to enlighten children about their place in the world?
The word best, sometimes I don't like that. You see, quite often you see in the West, you just say, oh, what is the best and what's the sort of quickest? Then I think behind that, you also have this sort of feeling, what's the cheapest? I think, seriously now, more serious, I think children, although basically sort of same potential, as I mentioned earlier, but at the same time, different mental disposition, different genes, different mental disposition, and also different environment. So generally, as I mentioned earlier, provide maximum affection, then try to introduce more holistic view. That I think they should develop some kind of feeling of citizen of the world. I think that's important. Then according their sort of particular sort of nature, then you should sort of find ways and means most effective way to
Help them.
To help them. I don't know. Like that. Then
Next question is from Julie Keller. She asks, you inspire many humanitarian leaders around the world. Who has been the biggest inspiration to you and why?
I think I'm Buddhist. Maybe a little prejudiced way.
Prejudice now.
Prejudice. I think Buddha, of course. We consider, you see, Buddha was a human being. then many of his followers really dedicated their life, well-being of others. That also not only just faith, but through reasoning, utilize maximum way human intelligence, through that way shaping our sort of mental,
Our mind.
Ah.
Our mind.
Our mind like that, or transform our emotions. So I often, you see, because of the telling, when I sort of say, give some like Buddha statue or some other sort of Buddhist master, I usually describe them. Of course, to Buddhists, these are Buddha or great sort of master. But ordinarily speaking, Buddha, great thinker and great sort of philosopher. And one of his sort of teaching, he explained, oh my follower, ordained person or scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather out of investigation, experiment. So judging that, Buddha also can be considered, can be a scientist. So it is good, it is nice. So in modern time, like Mahatma Gandhi, I never met, except one time in dream I met. Otherwise, I never met, but I really admire him. And then some other great sort of,
Leaders.
and also Mother Teresa and Thomas Merton. I really admire these people. And among the politicians or among the leaders, late Havel.
Václav Havel.
Havel, now no longer. Very nice, really wonderful. So these people really, genuinely dedicated well-being of others and strictly through non-violence. Wonderful.
Next question is from Anna Jost, and she asks, if you have lost your way in life, what is the best way to find your right path?
Not very clear. What meaning? I think generally, future, no guarantee. At the same time, future is open. So much depends on your own self-confidence and optimism. So even your sort of certain sort of the way of life now change, fail, or reach end, you have to find new way. You will find. And think more, not just narrow. So even animal, I think like because of the
like the horses that draw carts, they have a blinders on the sides.
So that means even horse also have the ability to see more things. So we deliberately, you see, try to keep just this one track. Right? So we don't think that way. Something your sort of familiar sort of way of life now find limits and then desperate, really confused. That's due to your sort of narrow-minded thinking. just only that way. Open, look round. You will find a different way of life. So as I mentioned earlier, future is open. And meantime, no guarantee. So it depends on one's own sort of determination. And determination alone, again, will not be because of guarantee. Determination with wisdom. Wisdom means holistic view. Look more wide away. And with expectation or obstacle bound to happen. Then much easier. What do you think? Yes.
Two last questions.
Yes.
Okay. The next one is from Renee Morris. The question is, how do you let go of the pain from the past and find a center of peace?
Ah. I think your blood is my blood. Your cause of the bone, my bone. So similarly, the past sort of painful experience, you should feel still, so that you get more sort of effort to overcome that. If just is to forget, like drunk person, what really happened, the past, that's a foolish. You must remember what happened. And should that also not like you say the dream or pictures or painting. You should feel here. Then you get sort of determination. I should not repeat that kind of sort of situation. I must find ways and means to never come that kind of things. So I think when we facing problems, when we're passing through difficulties, two possibilities. One possibility is lost hope and completely sort of demoralized. That's a failure. That's a negative. Another more difficult, more painful experience, you hardened. Stronger. I think generally I have the view, the European generations, particularly the elder generations, they really have to experience difficulties or destruction during war, Second World War, or First World War, Second World War. So that generation really hardened. Now, younger generation has never experienced such things. So their life more soft. If may I say so, American, in the past, you never experienced some sort of enemies of aircraft reach bombing. Only you see your soldier visit there. I think American. I think first. I think mainly Second World War. American force. America really saved world democracy, Western world. And then Korea also, I think, saved the South Korea. Then Vietnam War. Only casualties, nothing. Very sad, very sad. And then Afghan, Iran, that also. Very complicated, very complicated. So in any way, I mean, you say the America never experienced. So therefore, the September 11th event happened, I think American really shocked. I think in Europe, such things happen. Those hardened people may not get that kind of shock. So therefore, difficulties, if you see, Kasota, take that difficulties to positive way, it immense help to strengthening your sort of Kasota, your being, like that. And then also sometimes, Kasota more wiser. Recently, in tsunami event in Japan, I had few occasions to visit, and one time I actually visited their area. Really very sad. When I reached there, some local Japanese, they are waiting me, and when I met them, dear, very sad. The whole valley completely destroyed. Then I told them, you Japanese people, as well as German people, you rebuild your nation from ashes. So you have that kind of sort of self-confidence. You have that kind of sort of determination. So you can rebuild. So think future, not just remind the disaster and daily sort of and worry. I ask them. So I believe that. So some sort of difficult sort of things happen that should take advice or lesson. So open our mind and sort of determination. That's important. Clear? That's my view. And myself also, as a person, now nearly 77, and passing through a lot of difficulties, but never sort of damage my determination. And after all, we have truth. Truth, honest, is the source of strength. Money, weapon, not source of strength. Real source of strength is truthful, honest. Through that way, transparent. So occasionally I sort of explaining the Tibetan problem, our struggle. Our struggle is a struggle between power of truth, power of compassion, and power of gun. For short term, power of gun is much stronger. Long term, power of truth is much stronger. So, after all, we should lead honest life. Then no matter what sort of obstacle comes, we can fight that with full self-confidence. If your work, right from the beginning, some mischievous way, or cunning way, or dishonest, and telling lie here, cheating here, there, then they're bound to face fail. That's your own mistake. So our life should be honest, truthful. Then no reason feel demoralized. You can keep determination. Clear? Next question.
So the final question is from Janine Magana. She asks, you have so much wisdom for the world. What would you say to one student who is struggling with a world that is more cruel than compassionate?
Don't say, I have a lot of wisdom. Each day, I'm learning. I think maybe now little self-promotion, right? Little self-promotion. I think we trained, I mean, my translator or professor, you see, we trained our mind through debate, through
Analytic thinking.
through debate. Debate means always finds contradiction, wrong things, even slight sort of wrong word. Immediately, you see, take that, pick up like that. So, I think maybe it's a silly story. When we have sort of the meeting or dialogue, mainly, now for example, with scientists, when they give us their presentation. Oh, wonderful sort of presentation. They talk with full conviction. Confidence. Then while we listen, some slight contradictions here and there. Then later, gently, ask that is the contradictions. Then quite often they say, oh, we have to think. So that is nothing special. But the way of our training, always find the contradictions or faults. So that maybe, we have sort of, we trained through that way. So very recently, one hour meeting, one scientist, actually asked me, your sort of technique, the debate, that sort of technique can be utilized in modern subject. Those one. Then I told him, yes, any subject, we can utilize that method, that technique. So that I really feel, very helpful. Particularly when we carry investigation. And that also yesterday I mentioned, remain as a skepticism. It's very helpful, like that. So,
The country there is that the look to jiggies and then Zambuli that kanta jig to soup chain, Yingji chain, to soup chain. So, the Naloya, the country sort of children.
I may I say, one sort of my conversation. Of course, not out of sort of disrespect. One my Indian friend, who very religious-minded, very nice person. In the meantime, doctor as a profession, wonderful. So one day he very seriously asked me, on this planet, God's creation, God created. On the meantime, on this planet, there are so many mischievous people there. Why is God create such sort of mischievous people? Of course, I know that doctor, quite sort of close friend. So I jokingly told him. And also there's no other choice. I told him, oh, since God also create hell, so there must be some people ready to go hell. Of course, this is not out of sort of disrespect. Of course, those Christian brothers, sisters, you should believe this. You should think these lines. Okay, but obviously now, as I mentioned earlier, You see, there are sort of a lot of problems. Now, they analyze whether this problem come from nature, or some possibility to change that. If these things come from nature, then we can't change. But these things, as I mentioned, whole my talk is mentioned, the problem ultimately come from here, here, and here. Many mischievous things because of this human intelligence. Intelligence combined with negative emotion, then many of mischievous things happen. However, the warm-heartedness, good thing here, alone may not achieve much. So this warm-heartedness, sense of responsibility, sense of the global responsibility, sense of concern of others' well-being, with the human marvelous intelligence combined, we can change. That's definitely. I think, look, many centuries ago, no education. Eventually, we human beings create script. With the help of script and further sort of investigation with the scientific sort of research, and then now today, generally speaking, basically our knowledge, I think, much greater than our ancestors, 1,000 years ago. With much sort of that, because of that, much knowledge. So that potential there, knowing potential there. So then make effort, bring the method to increase that knowledge. So similarly, as I mentioned earlier, potential, warm-heartedness there. So now make, firstly, more awareness, the usefulness about that. Then make effort that can develop, like knowledge, like education. So, from one individual, another individual, we can change. Then gradually, community or national level, or already in this country, some universities, like Emory University, Wisconsin University, and Stanford University, and some other university. Just yesterday, the one university, they already
Peace Institute. Peace Institute.
Peace Institute. But more and more sort of education sort of institution now paying some attention about compassion, about this warm-heartedness. So this is the very positive indication. So that's the way. And this change, not because of overnight change, but gradual change. So that youngster think that way. And I always telling the people below 30, 20, or 15, you are truly generation of 21st century. So 21st century, only 11 years passed. Now remaining nearly 9 decades yet to come. So you have opportunity to make new world, happier world. My generation, no. Now, my two eyes, one eye look world, one eye look next life. So finally, please, in order to you yourself achieve happy life, happy family, and making some contribution, better world, you should take care your warm-heartedness and your intelligence, and your life should lead honest life. That's the potential. That's the foundation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.